So got a lot of several different things that I just want to mention or talk about, and then I also want to offer questions for some of the areas. So this week is testing week, so it's our last week of testing. So our kids do an amazing job with that, and we do an amazing job preparing them. We don't teach them to the test, but we teach them all year long on the strategies that they should use. So when our teachers give a test, they often set it up and do it electronically, just like the kids will have to do when they take the state test. So everybody understand what I'm saying there? So it gives them practice on using the computer and manipulating that. So our kids do a really good job with that. Last year, you may remember that there were 12 schools in the state that received all 25 stars. Hicksville ended up with 24 stars, which tied us for 13th out of 607 schools, which is pretty impressive, really. So we're pretty proud of that, and of course, we already met once and talked about the Blue Ribbon Award that we got last year, which was a great thing. We have 22 days left of school, and ironically, on May 22nd, Monday, May 22nd, I'm calling an extra professional development day. So I really haven't announced that to parents yet, but it's no big secret. The kids will not have school on the 22nd of May. And then I've got everybody else coming in, bus drivers, cooks, everybody doing different things within their departments. But our main objective is some things that we want to cover with our teachers on the 22nd that need to be done before the end of the year. And so, you know, because I'm the boss, I didn't want to just give everybody else the day off. So they all have to come in, and the bus drivers clean their buses and whatnot and spend their time doing that, cleaning the bus barn and so forth. So there will be no school for students on Monday, May 22nd. Another big event that we have every year is our art show. Have any of you ever been to our art show? It's pretty impressive, really. We have two phenomenal art teachers, Chris Gagan and Joey Stevenson, and we always tease Joey because he's like the nicest person in the world. I mean, you just cannot be mean to him. He's such a nice guy. But those two, the artwork that they get our kids to do is pretty impressive. There's some pretty phenomenal displays and projects that kids have done that some of them are just, I mean, they're really awesome. So that show is going to be Friday, May 12th from 4 to 7. And I really encourage you, even if you don't have any kids, you can come out, and they have it all set up, a real nice display throughout the whole main event hall and the commons area, and it's really, really a nice time to highlight our kids. Another thing that I think our school is really good at is, I don't know if you've been out by the school lately. Anybody been out by there? Does it look okay? Yeah. Our school is incredible, inside and out. And, you know, I've always said that, you know, we take a lot of pride in it, and I think you can tell by looking at the outside that we do. So often a facility, if it looks good on the outside, it looks good on the inside too. And I can assure you that if you haven't been out there, it does. You know, that doesn't come without spending a little money, but I think that that's part of representing to the community and everybody how much we respect and are thankful for what we have. And the grounds are really beautiful. I mean, Eric and John do a great job with that. And then, I wanted to mention that on the inside, when the school was built 14 years ago, there was, I think it was $750,000 that was set aside for new carpet and new heat pumps, because every room has like their own heat pump. And that was set aside because they thought, well, the carpet, 10 years, you'll probably have to replace the carpet in 10 years. So we wanted to have the money there, so whoever was in charge when that time came wouldn't have to hunt for the money. So guess what? That money's still there. We've had some heat pumps go bad along the way, but we just pay for it, you know, and you fix it and move on. But the carpet inside that building looks like the outside of our building. It's just really, really clean. Yeah, there's some stains here or there. There's some couple tears here and there. We've had to cut and replace stuff. But for the most part, you would not know that that carpet is 14 years old and has 1,000 people walking over it every day. And in the Commons, we have it carpeted, and there's 800 kids that eat in there every day, so you can imagine. But really, you can't imagine, because you should come there sometime when we have lunch. Our kids aren't allowed to leave the table until they've picked up their area. So that's teaching two things: respect, in my opinion, for what you have, but also it teaches them to help out someone else, the custodians, so it makes their job a whole lot easier. So yeah, stuff gets spilled. I mean, you know, that's gonna happen, but they run the carpet shampooer wherever they need to in that commons area when it's cleaned up. But it's pretty impressive. Our administrative team, which I've got a shout out for them, but they're down there every lunch period and they dismiss the kids. So they'll say, you know, Mrs. Chapman's class can be dismissed, and Mrs. Lindquist's class, you know, they'll do 2 of them at a time so they don't bombard the kitchen window. But they always say, make sure your area is cleaned up. And our kids do that now automatically. They don't have to be told, but we still tell them. Even at the high school level and middle school, our principals are down there, and they just make sure that they clean that up. All that is part of that Hicksville initiative that we've implemented, but it also is the expectation that we set for all the kids. This is just the way it is, you know, and there's nothing in between. So our kids just do it. They comply and they never complain about it. They're great kids, and they'll be walking to the window, and if they see something, they just bend over and pick it up. I mean, kids don't typically do that kind of stuff. Now, not every one of them, you know, but for the most part, it's pretty amazing when you think about it. Our 8th graders every year head to Washington for a few days, and that's coming up here for their annual trip. They didn't go for a couple years because of the C word, but we're back up doing that again, and it's a great opportunity for them to get to see the nation's capital, and it's a good time for them. Graduation is May 28th. How many years? Who knows? How many graduating classes, I should say, have been at Hicksville? Anybody know? Guess.
From the 1800s?
Yeah.
From the 18...
Yeah, this will be the what number graduating class?
This is probably close to 120.
142nd.
That's close to 120.
Isn't that something?
Wow.
That is something. And I think our community should really be proud of that. You think about a little small town, and we've had 142 graduating classes. And I can say, Larry was asking me how many's in our classes this year. And since I've been there, which I started in '94, so 2024 is 30 years. Yes, I might be counting a little bit, but I've enjoyed being there. I really enjoy being there. But yeah, 30 years, and I can say that the average class size really hasn't changed much in those 30 years. It may have increased a little bit, but for the most part, it's remained pretty constant. It hasn't went down like everybody said it was going to be. Remember when we built the school, they said our enrollment was going to drop by like 200, and we actually, the state said that we had to reduce the square footage because our enrollment was gonna be down. And Kevin Miller, at the time, he was down there at the State Department and advocating, and he got it increased some. But the school was still built for like 800 and, I think it was like 875 kids, something like that. And we have 1,000. We have almost 1,000, and it just remains pretty constant year after year after year. You'll have a large class go through, and then you have a small class go through. But for the most part, they hang right around between 70 and 80, graduating class of that many kids. So I think that says a lot about our community. Not to mention, if you look uptown and you see all the businesses that are there, we have a lot to be proud of, I'll tell you. And you know, even the mall that we have, I call the Dollar General the mall. I say that all the time, so I gotta go to the mall. Because that's where, if you gotta pick up something, that's where you go. And you know, you might go to some of these places in town and you might have to pay a little bit more, but look how much you saved in gas not driving somewhere else. So I think that we're pretty fortunate for everything that we have here in Hicksville. We should be really, really proud of that. So I wanted to mention a couple things about some of our programs. You've heard me talk before about our strength and conditioning classes. When we built the field house and added the weight room on, our objective, or my objective with doing that and adding that weight room, was this. Like the football players and all the athletes really would come in at like, 6 o'clock in the morning to get their lift in. And the coach would meet them there, somebody would meet them there, and they'd get their workout in, and then they'd go home and come back for school. So our kids would, and there would be a lot of kids show up at 6 o'clock in the morning because, if you want to play, your coaches expect you to be there. Well, with building the weight room, and we added strength and conditioning classes that Lucas Smith teaches. So kids can now sign up for strength and conditioning classes, and they do their workouts and do a lot lifting and other activities that they do. So they get their workout in. They don't have to come at 6 o'clock in the morning, and they get credit for it. So it's really a great win for our kids. And then also the building of the field house with the 2 extra gyms. Another one of my objectives was to get the kids home earlier at night also, so we can practice. Four different. We got 4 different gyms that kids can practice in, so the girls and boys can practice at the same time in different spots. We can practice varsity and junior high at the same time in different spots. So everybody gets home earlier, which is a plus for our kids. We also have a 21st century program. I think we've mentioned that some this year, but it's a grant. It's called the 21st Century Grant. It's around $1 million that you get over the period of 5 years. Now the requirements and the paperwork and all the hoops and everything you have to jump through to get it is really challenging and can be sometimes daunting, and sometimes you question if it's really worth it, because it's state driven, and so there's all these requirements and regulations, but we do it. And we provide some after school programming that we have, that kids stay after school and go through these different types of programs and stuff, which is a great thing for a lot of the kids that are there. It's great for them to be at school still, just say that. So we're thankful for that program. And of course, you know about Nathan's program, the STEAM program. I've had him here a couple weeks ago, or a month, not a couple weeks, but it's been a couple months probably. Time goes so fast. And his program, though, I was out there this morning, and I asked some of the kids, I said, "You like it in here?" And they're like, "Oh, we love it." And there's kids sanding wood and doing different things that they're making and creating, and they have a laser thing that I mean, I can't even tell you what half the stuff is, but he keeps getting different pieces of equipment in that the kids can use, and people have donated stuff, and we have a good problem already because we're out of room in that barn, we call it, that he's in, and you know, he's gonna have to do some rearranging over the summer but he'll make it work. You know how Nathan is. He's pretty good at figuring things out, but it's been a really, really great program. The kids love it. We have several kids that, and Nathan's going to get, in fact, he's probably takes the test, it's Friday, excuse me. Friday at 1 o'clock, he has to go take this test so that he is qualified to do like ag classes and things like that. And then we can get extra funding for having those types of classes that he's doing out there, which is a good thing. But he, you know, he's pretty passionate about that program and very good at, you know, coming up with ideas and stuff to make it expand it. So he may have been in touch with some of you. I know we've had some of them come up to your place, Bruce, a couple kids maybe, but he's lining kids up for internships and like co-op things or work release programs. We're really trying to get that in, and with Van Crest right in our backyard, they're going to work with us, and so we can get kids that are interested in going into the health field or medical field. They can, you know, maybe leave in the afternoon. He's lining this all up, and they can go to Van Crest and do like an internship and get paid for it. And so work release programs like that. And so we have several kids that have decided not to go to like Fort County, for example, where they have the same kind of programming, same way, same everything, but now they can stay at their home school and get it. And you know, that's a good thing for them. It's a great thing for our school, because if the kid stays here, the money stays here. So we're thankful that Nathan has really worked hard at advancing that program, and I believe that we have to make some decisions about that probably sooner than we had anticipated because of the amount of kids that are going to want to take that program. So that's a good problem to have. I mentioned earlier that I wanted to just shout out to my principals. So this year, you know, Jeff left in January, and I had a new middle school principal to begin with, starting the year, Aaron, who you met. He was here a few weeks ago. And so Aaron Highlander decided he wanted to move to the high school principal position, which I had no idea he wanted to do that. So he took Jeff's place in the middle of the year. And Tony Tier was interested in administration and had actually interviewed for the middle school position, and was interested in that. So he, you know, stepped up, and I asked him if he wanted to be like our interim middle school principal. And I didn't make him the principal in January because I wanted, you know, he wasn't sure. And it's like, okay, well, do it as an interim. I don't know if you remember, but when I was hired as superintendent, they wanted to hire me right away, and I said, I said, just make me an interim, because if I don't like it, I'm not going to stay doing it. I'll go back and be an my elementary principal job, which I loved, and I love this job too. I'll tell you something about that too in just a second. But anyhow, Tony, I made him an interim, and just last month, it's official, we hired him, or last week, we hired him as our middle school principal. So Tony Cheers, our middle school principal. But he decided to step down from coaching basketball, so now we have to find a head basketball coach. And you know, it was a hard decision for him, but being a high school principal, or a middle school principal, any kind of principal really, and a head coach is a challenge, along with 3 little kids. So he decided to step down. He's done a great job for us, but I'm sure we'll find someone to take that spot. But anyhow, a huge shout out to both Tony and Aaron, and also to our assistant principal that's new, and that's Angie Smith. She was our one of our special ed teachers, and we've made her an assistant principal, but she's in charge of all the special ed department. And there's a reason we call her an assistant principal instead of like a special ed director, but you don't need to know why. So she's really a special ed director, but her title is a K-12 assistant principal, and she's doing a phenomenal job as well. She works with all of the special ed teachers in writing the IEPs and making sure IEPs are followed and 504s. She'll do the evaluations on all of the special ed teachers, which then takes that off of my principals because it's just a lot to try to get everything done. So, and of course Kirsten, my elementary principal, she does an amazing job as well. So I'm pretty lucky to have the administrative team that I have and how they work. So we need bus drivers. If you look around, every school around, they all crying for bus drivers. And you know, I'm really thankful because I have someone for all of my regular routes, but I don't have any subs. So if we need a sub, then it's either Eric or John, or I have Jeff Haught that sometimes will drive, and I've driven a lot as well. So when you see me driving, it's because there's absolutely no one else, but I am certified to drive a bus. So in fact, I have to get renewed this year, and I'm gonna renew that because who knows, when I retire, maybe I'll decide to be a bus driver, we'll see. But if you have any interest, I mean, some people think, oh my God, no, you know, but it's not difficult, it's not challenging, and you know, you gotta think about Hicksville, we're 42 square miles. Central Local's 170 square miles, so there's a big difference. So it's not hard. Our kids, for the most part, are very well behaved on the bus and listen to the bus drivers, and yeah, so it's a good thing. So if you want to be a bus driver, get in touch with me. I don't know if any of you have heard anything about the eclipse that's coming next year. But there's supposedly, well, not supposedly, there's going to be an eclipse next year on April 8th, 2024. And they're saying, I've been to some meetings, well, I haven't been to the meetings yet, but they've had some meetings about this because they're really concerned about the number of people that are gonna pour into our area. I mean, they're talking like hundreds of thousands of people, but I don't know if I can see that or not, but we're supposed to be like Defiance County's like in the prime spot of this eclipse. So I don't know, we'll see. But why I brought it up is because you know, the EMA office and other people are saying, oh, well, you need to not schedule school on that day. And I'm like, I'm not gonna not do that. And I'm thinking, okay, this would be a great learning opportunity for the kids. Why would we not take advantage of that? So I had Anita already, my secretary, I said, find out about glasses, how many, you know, how much glasses are, we'll buy glasses for all the kids. It'd be a great learning opportunity, right? Well, the whole total eclipse is supposed to happen at 3:15. That's not good, for a couple reasons. I've lost, we're dismissed by then. But to be quite honest, I might have to make a decision about that, because if there's a total eclipse at 3:15, I don't want to be responsible for kids not having the proper protective wear if they're on a bus or walking home or something like that in the middle of eclipse. So I don't know, maybe I'll dismiss early that day, we'll see. But my hope was that it would have been earlier, and I'd have bought glasses for everybody and used it as a learning opportunity, and we can all see, teachers and the staff, and make sure the kids are all protected. I think it would be a good thing, but supposedly it's gonna be total at 3:15. You can find a lot of stuff on the internet about it. Ooh, I gotta hurry. Here I thought I wasn't gonna have enough time. House Bill 99, I don't know if any of you have heard about it. It went into effect in September. It allows boards of education to allow certain people in the buildings to be armed during the school day. So you may have heard something about that. The governor signed that. And every school does things differently, so I'm not gonna talk about what other people do, because I don't, you know, that's them. They have to do them, and they have to be comfortable with what they do. I've talked about this before with this group, and I've mentioned it at numerous places around town, so there's a requirement now on the training that you have to have. And so we're getting our people that we want as part of this group to do this training and be compliant with the state. So Hicksville schools will have people carrying again once they're completed with that training. So again, I'll say what I've said years ago, we don't have an army out there. I haven't armed scads of people, we haven't done anything like that. But I feel like what we've done is added an extra level of protection. I want people to know that we have that out there at our school, because I look at those things as deterrence. And you know, I'm going to say this, you know, but there's been all these school shootings, and you know, people are freaking out about it, and as well they should. It's horrible. It's horrible. I pray every day that something like that never happens to us, because Hicksville Exempted Village Schools is not exempt from something like that happening. The problem is people think, you know, and everybody has their own opinion, you know, taking guns away isn't going to solve that problem, because the bad people are still going to have the guns. And I've had people come in, well, you need a school resource officer, and I'd gladly take a school resource officer in addition to the people that I have carrying, because you know, that's just extra protection as well. But I could have a school resource officer for every kid in the building, one for each kid. If somebody wants to come to the school and do something bad, something bad's going to happen, regardless if I have a school resource officer for every one of those kids. So we're never fully protected. You're never going to be fully protected. And my opinion, I've said this publicly before, but if you want to stop school shootings, then we need to start paying attention to the people that we're friends with, because that's what's going to stop the school shootings. You just don't wake up on a Monday, it's like, oh, I think I'll go to school today and kill people. No, there's weeks or months of mental stuff happening with that individual that someone needs to speak up and say, hey, something's not right with Brian. You know, I'm really concerned. He's been saying some off-the-wall things, and that, in my opinion, is what's going to stop school shootings. Is us saying something before it happens. If we notice something, if you see something, say something. That's what we're trying to get out there. You see something, say something. You know, even people out in the community, most, not all, but most of the people that go to a specific school and do these horrible things, that's where they went to school. So they've got some reason that they want to do that. It's not always a kid. It could be a graduate or somebody that's harboring bad whatever from years before, and it's like, okay, they're going to go back and get revenge or whatever. But you know, okay, enough about that horrible stuff. But all I'm saying is, that's in my opinion, that's how we're going to stop school shooting, is for us to speak up and start saying something before it happens there. The Hicksville Initiative continues to be a very successful program for us. We've been doing it for the last 10 years. I truly believe that it's changed the environment of our school for the better. And we still have people calling and asking us about different things that we do at the school and how we get the scores that we got on our state testing. And I get compliments all the time about when our kids go somewhere to another school and visit. I get emails saying how nice our kids are and how respectful they are. So that's a good thing. So I got 2 minutes if anybody has any questions for me.
Is there open enrollment, or how does that work as far as other school districts?
We do have open enrollment. You can open enroll from Indiana, but you have to pay the full tuition. So nobody does it, because it's like $11,000 a kid to come across the state line. So nobody open enrolls from Indiana. But we do open enroll kids from surrounding districts.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. They apply in June, and I either approve them or don't. Most of them I approve, some I don't. Just leave that at that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Any other questions?
What certification do you have to drive a school bus? What
A
is it?
CDL with a school bus endorsement.
With a school bus endorsement. I got a CDL.
Yeah,
and
just all you have to do is
I
get
thought it was
the,
something different.
no, you have to get a school bus endorsement. It's all on top of the CDL. It's easy to get. If I can get it, anybody can get it. Any other questions?
I have a question for Bryce. Do you think this spending 2 years in third grade would scar you enough to come back and?
And every time he talks about testing, we always sit there and go, I think maybe I need tested.
Thank you so much. I will say one other thing. I hate homework. I've always been an advocate not to give kids homework, but I haven't convinced my teachers of that yet.